Good morning, everybody. Welcome. This is Two Ways Morning Meeting. Sean, Dan, and I taking you through the day. The president's been talking since about 8:02 Eastern Time, so now for about 58 minutes or 56 minutes on Fox and Friends on the fabled Kirby couch. And he said a lot of things on any other day would be extremely newsworthy, but the thing that, of course, got everybody's attention was he announced the arrest of what he says is the suspect in the shooting of Charlie Kirk. President shaking hands now, so he's gonna end a little bit after 9. So lots to tell you about regarding the president's interview, but in a moment, scheduled and probably delayed a little bit, but we expect within the hour of the program we're here with you. Kash Patel and other law enforcement officials will be having a press conference. We doubt they'll reveal as much as the president did because they're probably more concerned about a successful prosecution. But the president told quite a tale and explained what he says happened. Let's play President Trump about an hour ago on Fox and Friends, number 108, please.
Our families.
Medal of Freedom, which is very nice of you. Any updates on the suspect?
Yeah. Can I always say, I think, just to protect us all, and so Fox doesn't get sued, and we all don't get sued, and everything else. But I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job. We worked with the local police, the governor. Everybody did a great job. You know, getting somebody that you start off with absolutely nothing. And we started off with a clip that made him look like an ant that was almost useless. We just saw there was somebody up there. And so much work has been done over the last 2.5 days. You know, it's amazing, actually, when you start off with that and then all of a sudden you get lucky or talent or whatever it is. But, yeah, I think we're in great shape.
Mr. President.
And he's in custody.
So he went on to explain a relatively elliptical, somewhat convoluted. It involves a minister and a U.S. Marshal and the alleged suspect's father. Sean, President does a lot of unorthodox things. This is a little bit unorthodox, but what's your read on the president's attitude towards this? I thought he seemed remarkably sort of calm and matter of fact about it, but what's your sense?
I think when you've been shot twice, you have a very different perspective on what's happening and probably can see this whole situation through a lens that very few people can see it through. But obviously they feel confident enough to make that pronouncement, and I hope to God that he's right.
Yeah. Dan, if you were the defense lawyer for this person, assuming, again, the president's right, did the president do anything that would imperil the prosecution?
I don't think so. I actually agree with Sean and you. He was pretty somber in that part of the press conference, talking about how they got him. And if it's true, it's remarkable that a family saw and turned him in. And as you say, worked. It wasn't clear if the dad was in law enforcement or the but what a remarkable story if true.
Yeah, and of course the timing is very unclear because late last night, like when I went to sleep, they were still out there pushing the pictures. Now, maybe this was set in motion after they set the pictures, before they set the pictures out. I don't know, but the TikTok is unclear. All right, so we're waiting for that press conference. We'll go to it live when it occurs. In the meantime, we want to talk. There's a lot of stuff to come up with.
I will just say that if that guy is in fact the person of interest that they showed, the number of mistakes that he made in terms of fingerprints, DNA analysis, and stuff like that. I mean, it's a matter of time. I mean,
although it doesn't seem like they got him off of any of that based on the president's account. They got him because of the photos and being recognized by either his father or a friend. Again, it's unclear. So we'll take the press conference live. We want to show you some of the things the president said on other topics, particularly on the question that is something I think we'll be telling you about here before you hear it anywhere else, which is remember the White House going after law firms and universities, et cetera. This is going to be taken as an opportunity to go after the groups that fund the far left in this country. And you're going to see subpoenas and investigations and aggressive tactics to put the far left money machine out of business. We'll talk about that. You'll hear what the president said about it. I'll share some of my reporting with you on that as well. And then we're going to take your questions earlier than the norm because already a lot of hands up, and we know people have rich and strong feelings about what's happened in the assassination of Charlie Kirk and everything swirling around it. So if you'd like to be in on the conversation, particularly if you haven't already had a chance to speak here, please raise your hand. If you're watching on X or YouTube, feel free to put smack in the chat. You'll burn in hell if you do, but that's your option. So feel free to do it. I'll say one more thing, then a quick word from our sponsor, and then we'll dig right in. Dan and Sean do an extraordinary job every day. This is a live program. We don't have scripts. We don't have a teleprompter. We don't select the topics in advance. Obviously, we don't know your questions in advance. And I will tell you, speaking live every day or every program, every weekday, it's a challenge. They both have great hearts and they both really care about America and they care about their party, but they understand the importance of having mutual understanding. And I find the number of hours I have to spend every day answering emails from all of you about Dan and Sean to be tedious. Just accept the fact that they're here in good faith. They're doing the best they can. They're both partisans, but they're in the spirit of the platform, and you should be too. You should be too. And I'll just say, because Sean was White House press secretary and has been a public-facing official for many, many years, Dan is new to this and has done an extraordinary job in representing himself and his vision of America and his vision of the party. And I hear from some of you that Dan is singularly great. People say it on the platform all the time. Dan's my favorite Democrat. A lot of Republicans say, but a lot of you have decided in the last few days that Dan is, evil incarnate, and I just have no patience for it. Judge all of us on the totality of our record. We all make mistakes. I got an email this morning about our coverage of the shooting in Minnesota of the state legislators there. I'm horrified of how we performed on that story. Horrified. Didn't really realize it at the time. We did not cover that story correctly. We'll make mistakes, but judge all of us the way you'd like to be judged on the totality of what you do, not on a single moment. Thank you very much for your attention to this matter. All right, our sponsor, Cozy Earth. Love to have them here. Love to be comfortable and love to be cool. It's very hot still here in New York City, and nothing keeps me cooler than my Cozy Earth pants. You can buy them too. In a moment, I'll tell you about an extraordinary discount you can get on the Cozy Earth pants. You can also buy sheets. Dan, do you have the sheets yet?
I do not, but they hopefully are on their way.
All right. Sheets with a 100-night sleep trial. You can return them hassle-free, like no hassle. You can also you have a 10-year warranty on the sheets. But the pants, again, I just say, you'll go on, you'll see other stuff, maybe buy other stuff, but the pants are great. You can get 40% off.
I'm shocked, Mark, because you push the joggers. I tried the joggers. Bamboo joggers are my favorite. I'm just telling you.
All their stuff is made from viscose from bamboo. You can wear it everywhere. So comfortable. 40% off right now. Go to cozyearth.com. That's a website. cozyearth.com. Enter the code morning40 for 40% off their best-selling sheets, pajamas, and more. Built for real life. Made to keep up with yours. Cozy Earth by the pants. All right. Today, the president just probably over at Fox now talking to all the people in the makeup room, because that's what you do after you're on Fox and Friends. I haven't been on Fox and Friends in a decade, but I remember they had in the green room, they had smoothies, little tiny like shot glasses with like raspberry smoothies. That's what I miss. Anyway, that's his schedule, because after that, he's going to Bedminster. He'll probably drive. Is he driving from New York to Bedminster?
No, he'll go to the helipad.
Really? Okay.
I don't think he does the Lincoln Tunnel and the GW Bridge.
Okay.
Helipad to or because there's helipad, or he'll go to LGA and go to the.
Anyway, presumably spending the whole weekend at Bedminster. Very humid, I gotta say. At least where I am, it's very humid. House and Senate are out. Don't know what the vice president's doing. I believe he might still be out west, but I don't know that. UN Security Council meeting here in New York City to talk about Russia and their drone incursion into Poland. One of Sean's successors, the lady Dan knows as KJP, I call her Gris Jean-Pierre, with a bit of a lilting accent. She's sitting for one of those transcribed interviews in front of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee on the question of the president's alleged mental decline. Sean doesn't like me to call it alleged, maybe manifest. President Biden's manifest, or apparent. How about apparent mental decline? Apparent is
mental decline.
Apparent is a great journalistic weasel word, because it can mean two things. It can mean clear, it's so apparently clear, or it can mean possible. So I like to use that, apparent mental decline. And the Prime Minister of Qatar, Sean, you know who that is? Prime Minister of Qatar. His name is
Rahul.
Yeah, his name is Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Jassim Al Thani. It's got more names than Thurston Howell. He is here. He's having meetings with administration officials. It says New York and Washington, meeting with Trump, Vance, Rubio, and Witkoff. I don't know which of those are here. Maybe he's meeting with Trump here and then going to DC for some of the others. Anyway, 10 o'clock consumer sentiment report is out. All right, gentlemen, let's listen to some clips. Again, we're going to get to your questions soon, so please, if you'd like to be in on the conversation, please raise your hand. Let's listen to a little bit more as we wait for the press conference of the president's explanation of what happened. This is 109, please.
Yeah, I think that I don't want to go too far. I'd like to tell you some stories at how it happened, but essentially somebody that was very close to him turned him in. And that happens when you had some of those good shots. Somebody is going to say, whether it's a parent or whatever, I'd rather not say right now. They're going to announce it today, sometime later, probably talk about that. But somebody close to him turned him, they said, whoa. It's interesting. We had very good pictures, but not great, not perfect. And when you look at it, what happened is somebody, and this happens a lot. It happened with the crazy Boston bomber. It happened with others. Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father, went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister. And brought him to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic. And the father convinced the son, this is it. And again, I'm always subject to be corrected, but I'm just giving you, based on what I'm hearing, they'll give you a much more active. I just heard about it 5 minutes before I walked in. As I'm walking in, they said, looking real good. They have the person that they wanted. So you have breaking news, don't you, huh?
Thank you.
You always have breaking news, Ainsley. Sean's going to be very disappointed that we're not doing it on his show.
He'll be very thankful and appreciative of the police officers that got this guy.
They did a great job, everybody worked together. Pam Bondi is incredible, by the way. People don't know what a star she is. She's incredible. And it all worked out.
Could I ask you just some clarification? So a pastor was able to turn him in, and where they got the family of the shooter to turn them in?
Well, it was a minister, and the minister went to a minister who was involved with law enforcement, by the way. And his good friend is a top U.S. Marshal. And they took it from there. And then it was a father got involved, namely his father, and said, we got to go in. And they, so I understand it. And again, subject to change. But, the facts are the facts. We have the person that we think is the person we're looking for. But they drove into the police headquarters, and he's there now.
Okay, again, a cast of characters involving a minister, a U.S. Marshal, family members, the father. It's a little unclear. I'm going to make the executive decision. We're not going to discuss that because we expect the press conference, which may or may not provide additional details. We discussed in our pregame, the president may go further than the law enforcement folks will do. So let's talk about some other things real quick here, and then we'll get to your questions. On law enforcement, the president said the next city that will be the beneficiary of National Guard and other federal presence will be Memphis, a blue city in a red state. Eager to hear what Harold Ford Jr. thinks about that. On Russia, the president kind of said what he normally says about Putin. A little bit impatience. Talked when asked what to do. He emphasized economics. He did not talk about any military things. That doesn't mean there won't be any. But he talked about tougher sanctions.
Well,
and
he also said, Mark, I believe that the drones were shot down not in Poland, but they fell in, fell out of the sky into Poland, which is not what Poland says.
And that may have been accidental. He said that too, which he said. So he downplayed that, but I wouldn't say he really moved the ball on there, although, leaned into sanctions pretty heavily. Now, on this topic of what's going to be done by the Trump administration besides seeking the death penalty for whoever killed Charlie Kirk, the president talked about going after not right-wing extremism, but left-wing extremism, and particularly the groups that fund a lot of activity on the left. Here is the president. Please play 112 and 113 back to back.
I had one the other night. I went into a restaurant, and this woman stood up. I looked at her immediately. She had money. She wasn't serious. They get paid for it. They're professional from Soros and other people. And we're going to look into Soros because I think it's a RICO case against him and other people. Because this is more than like protests. This is real agitation. This is riots on the street. And we're going to look into that.
What do we do about our country with that? Because we have radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem. And they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Although they want men and women sports, they want transgender for everyone, they want open borders. The worst thing that happened.
Was that both of them together? I think it was. Okay, so a couple issues here. First of all, in a moment, we'll talk about the reporting that I have about what's going to happen here in terms of these investigations. But before we do that, Dan, Bernie Sanders did the best 4 minutes I've ever seen him do in a video. If you haven't watched it, I recommend it to everybody. Bernie Sanders gave a statement that could be given by any politician of either party who looks at Charlie's murder and says, we must restore the right to free speech in this country. It's so fundamental, and political violence cannot be tolerated. And he talked about both victims of political violence on the left and the right. Dan, I know you've strong feelings about this. How do you feel about what the president did just there?
It's sad and depressing. I think what's pretty clear or giving indications is the country is going to have to try to heal and move forward without his leadership. I mean, time and again in that interview on almost every issue, other than when he was describing how they got the suspect, he would pivot to an attack to them. And the fact that he basically said radicals on the right are fighting for good stuff, as he sees it, and radicals on the left are, the problem, is sad and depressing. It obviously is not the case. And as I say, my hope is that both sides will look in the mirror, not that they're apples to apples all the time, and ask, how do we get better? But I don't think the president's going to lead that effort.
Okay. Breaking news, several news organizations reporting that the suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk is a 22-year-old Utah resident named Tyler Robinson. We'll see what more we learn there. Sean, I feel pretty strongly that the president let everybody down for the reasons Dan said, and I don't understand why he would do it. Is this a political strategy? Is this emotion? Why won't the president? He didn't do it in the Oval Office the other night. He doesn't want violence, but isn't this a time?
He kind of did do it in the Oval. We need to be fair. He kind of did do it in the Oval Office. He went after one side.
I'm saying he didn't do it in the Oval Office. He did not do.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant he didn't.
He's suggesting that there's no political violence from the right that's worthy of censure or investigation or deterrence. So I'm wondering why you think he's just taking that path.
So two things. First, on this Tyler Robinson person, there is video that's been going around the last several hours of an individual that apparently matches the alleged suspect, or whatever we're calling him, where he confronts Charlie at a Turning Point USA event and asking about why he's coming to college campuses. And anyway, so I don't know that it's the same person, but there was a bunch of people online making the connection based on the facial recognition. To your question, and this is what I tried to address yesterday, it is so difficult to reconcile the feelings that many of us have on the right. Every time there's an event, everyone on the right has to account for every knucklehead on our side that says or does anything. Little Johnny says something at Thomas Jefferson Middle School, and every Republican is asked to condone it, condemn it rather. Something happens on the left and it's, well, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was justified. I think we've had it. We've just had it. And I think we've been tired that every time something occurs, we have to be the better angels. We have to take the temperature down. And I said this yesterday, and it's, Mark, to your point at the beginning of this conversation, it's difficult because sometimes you're speaking extemporaneously. And I always am thinking, okay, how's this going to come out, an hour later or a year later when someone looks back on it? But there's a moment that I don't think that people that haven't been part of this movement appreciate how much suppressed anger and pissed offness exists right now. It has been.
Sean, is he
Dan,
president?
please let me finish. I've never interrupted you on this. Please do not jump in right now. This is not the moment. I respect you. I respect everything that you say. And I know that you're doing your best to articulate not just your views, but trying to explain to people the moment. But this is not normal. This is not what's going on now. And for everyone to look at the president and say, yeah, you've been shot. You've been yanked off a ballot. You've been persecuted and had the judicial system. And you're supposed to be the guy that's not supposed to go out there and say, forget it all. Your buddy just got shot and assassinated. But let's be the better person. Once again, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I know you guys want everyone to go, oh, it's all going to be okay. And we're supposed to sit back and say this. I want no one else to be hurt. I hate violence in this whole discussion. I hate where we're at. But it's always our side that has to be the ones to take it down. And I'm sorry. Maybe most of you, and I hope to God you never have to experience it, but when you can't walk down a street safely, you have to worry about your family's safety when you leave your house. That's something that no one should have to experience. And finally, some of these guys on the left are like, oh, now we need to take it down. I was there. I was the guy that informed President Trump when Steve Scalise was shot. I went to the hospital with him, and everyone said, we got to take the temperature down right away. It's every single time it's our side that needs to do it. And I understand the president's frustration right now.
Dan.
Sean, is he president of the United States or MAGA?
He's president of the United States, Dan, and I know that.
Sean, to sit there and say, look, I feel your emotion. I texted you after the show yesterday. I thought you made a lot of great points about why Charlie Kirk was so impactful to you, to so many people, why this feels different. Like, I heard you, and I thought you made a lot of great points. To say that only one side has to turn it down. I've heard a lot of politicians. Bernie Sanders said, our side too. Like, I know the right feels this way, but as the president of the United States, you are speaking to all of America. You are to lead all of America.
Hey, and why is it?
Sean, hold on.
That is the job of the president of the United States. He is also the leader of a political movement. And I understand that. And I understand why he feels like he's been persecuted, right? I know how the left feels. I know how previous presidents have felt about persecution. But somehow the president of the United States, I would hope, says every day, how can I make the country better and get to a better place for all of its citizenry?
Yeah.
And right now, I feel, and maybe I'm wrong to feel this way, he doesn't wake up and look at it that way.
And I understand why. And I think the funny thing is that Barack Obama and Joe Biden did a lot of blaming of the right. They weren't all better angels caring about us doing everything. I mean, they never called out their own side. And so again, it comes
I disagree about that.
Yeah.
I totally disagree about that.
Okay, so here's what we're not going to do on this show. And I'm not talking to you guys because you don't do it, but a lot of the community does. We're not going to play a game of, is the Minnesota shooting worse than what happened to Charlie Kirk? We're not going to play the game of, is January 6th justified? Okay, both sides, all sides, have done things that involve political violence. And sometimes it's been done without the censure of politicians. President Trump, of course, pardoned the January 6th, people convicted around January 6th. Senator Sanders, in his extraordinary 4 minutes remarks yesterday, talked about political speech and freedom and all that. He didn't say, I regret not speaking out for the last 3 decades as people on my side of the aisle have intimidated conservatives from speaking at college campuses. I wish he had, and if I can get a question to him, I'm going to ask him about it. There needs to be political leadership. And we have one president right now, just the one, and he's not inclined to call his side out, as presidents of both parties have done in the past at times. It's still politics. But what's important is there's a lot of anger. You hear it here, but there's a lot of anger all over the country. And if you're not listening to Sean's explanations over the last couple of days of why his side is so angry, you're making a big mistake, because it's history, and it's the reality from the president on down within the MAGA movement. Okay. Many of you who are part of this community feel it too. Many of you would pick that same list of grievances and say, this is why I voted for Donald Trump, a man I would never have thought I would have voted for and who I disagree with on a lot of stuff, but I voted for him for this exact reason. And you take all of that stuff built up over decades, and then you add the murder of a friend of so many and a symbol, not just of ideas, but of political power. Charlie Kirk had 50 years ahead of him of leading to conservative victories, victories of ideas, of public relations, and electoral victories. So this young man, allegedly, whoever killed him, took off the playing field one of the most valuable players in the modern MAGA movement. And so anyone on the left who doesn't understand why that's causing a lot of emotion, you're not listening closely enough to Sean. But I'll also say again, someone has to cool it down. And Bernie Sanders and Speaker Johnson can do so much. But people on the right, you have to understand, people on the left are upset too. Different things for the most part, but they're upset too. And I just don't, one more thing. I do not understand why people say to me, Mark, give up. You'll never contribute to bringing the country together. Someone has to try. We all have to try, because we're on a horrible trajectory. We've been on this since the Bork hearings, on this path. But someone has to try to change it. And I guarantee you that would be Charlie's preference. Sean.
I think what you said is the key. You haven't heard me point any fingers. I'm not, Dan, I think does an amazing job of trying to articulate his side. That's what we're supposed to do. What I want people to understand is exactly that, why this is so friggin' visceral. This didn't happen overnight. I'm not here blaming anybody. I'm not, like I said, I can't imagine the seat that Dan's in today. There are days when we have news and I'm like, God, I don't want to be the one having to explain this. But what we do here is try to explain it. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not pointing any fingers, but I want everyone who watches this and everyone who listens to this to understand that this isn't just the passing of a figure. This is an attempt to squelch a movement, and it manifested itself. Charlie was at a university to bring people together, to have dialogue, which we all talk about, and yet you can't, we don't do winners and losers in a week like this. But it scares me, after what I've been through after the last 10 years, to think how hard it's been to be on a college campus, to know what it's like personally, and to go, okay, after this week, name me one conservative that's going to have the same chutzpah and strength that Charlie Kirk did to sit in an open air environment of any sort on a campus, to want to have that discussion. It would scare the crap out of me. I'll tell you this, I don't have the strength that Charlie does to do that after what I just saw. And I think that people have to understand that what happened today wasn't just about Charlie Kirk. It's about stifling discussions going forward.
Please listen to, thank you. That was great. Please listen to Senator Sanders. I'll save for the third time because it's so good and so important. All right. Quick message from our other sponsor today, and then your questions again while we wait for the press conference. I'll ask everybody, we don't want to squelch you, but I'll ask you to try to be relatively short because we've got lots of hands up, close to 50. And want to get to as many as you as we can. So with that, again, please be ready to be called on. Our sponsor, Lean, an oral supplement to help you lose weight, not a GLP-1 injectable. And the goal here is to avoid yo-yo dieting, to go up and down, to keep losing weight. 10 pounds or more can cause all sorts of damage. And so the folks at Lean say, go with them to use a non-prescription product created by doctors. It is something you can take to achieve a lot of goals. healthy level of blood sugar, control appetite and cravings, all natural burn fat by converting to energy. You can get their products. Go to the website, takelean.com, takelean.com, 20% off if you enter the code MARK. I got to be the code because I'm the chubbiest of the three of us. Go to takelean.com, enter the code MARK, 20% off for all of their diet products, all their products, part of your exercise and lifestyle goal to lose weight in a healthy way. All right, we're waiting for the press conference. We're going to your questions. Hands up if you'd like to be in the conversation. I see many hands up. And so now I have to sort through here. Stand by. It's over, could crash my system. That's how many hands are up. Katie Reeves. Katie from Wisconsin, thank you for joining. Unmute. Tell everybody what's on your mind.
I just wanted to kind of add to what Sean said. After 24 hours, my husband and I were kind of talking about like, why is this affecting us so much? And because we weren't huge followers of Charlie's, and we realized it's because it's symbolic. And Trump always says, when they come after me, they're coming after you. And that's what it feels like. It's like we were shot. Charlie was able to go out there and say the things that either we were afraid to go out there and say, because, for instance, my brother, he's a professor, he's a conservative. Guess what? He's never getting tenure. He's 60 years old. He hasn't gotten it. And or you like, I lived for 15 years in Silicon Valley as a conservative. I would comment on message boards and things under an anonymous name because I didn't want it to affect my kids. I didn't want their teachers to treat them differently because of my beliefs. And so he went out there, was able to do all that and say all that. And I feel like we were shot. And that's why I think it's hitting us so strongly.
I've learned there's no member of our community I've learned more from since Two Way started than Katie Reeves. And Katie, that was brilliant. And you speak for tens of millions, and it's a great insight and super important. Dan, and then Sean.
Yeah, I mean, Katie, it's remarkable to hear you say that. It's one of the things that made me think yesterday after hearing from Sean and some of the members of the community was just how much he and the movement in the last few years since Trump won in 2024, this feeling of like people are coming out of the closet. They can be proud. Like, I am a conservative. I can go to college campuses. I can go to my local bar. I can put a street sign up or be on a, or wear a hat. On the left, when RFK and MLK were killed, right? Why did it hit so many Americans? Because they felt like, civil rights and things that they believed in, that's why those people were killed. And that they could speak like that, and suddenly they were being stifled and had to go in. So it's a great point. And I think if one of the things that comes out of this is people realize how important Charlie Kirk was and the good work that he did. I know people feel strongly about some of the things he said, but he was engaging young people. And he was, as Sean said, kind of part of the tip of the spear. I think it's remarkable, by the way, that Donald Trump is giving so much public credit to a man. It is not his MO to say, here are all the people that I might not have gotten elected, but for their help. And I think he's right. Charlie Kirk is one of them.
Yeah.
Sean.
Actually, it's funny. I will say this, Dan. Like Trump, maybe in moments like this, I've been with him privately and publicly. He has an ability to express empathy in a way that very few people do, and it's one of his great traits. You may not like him, but I've seen him in some of the most private moments, both personally and when he's talking to other people, and it's unbelievable the way he can comfort somebody. And I know he'll never get credit. He doesn't like to publicly talk about it. I think what we saw today on Fox and Friends was the public manifestation of things that he does in private a lot. 3 quick things. One, maybe I don't see this when it happens on the left, but the number of people online that I saw comments from regular employees, people who work for different things, getting exposed for saying, I'm glad Charlie would have gotten. What kind of a person are you that you want the death to anybody, or that you think that anybody deserves that? I don't care who you are. You could be my worst political enemy. I would never worse.
Sean, it's not I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's plenty of that on the right.
But that's why I just said, Mark. I just said I don't see it. No. But that's why I'm. Please let me finish. I'm trying to be unequivocal and say, whoever you are, whether you call out the farthest person on the left, the farthest person on the right, the idea that any person, any human being wants the death of a person because of their views just shows you what a twisted, sick person they are. And I don't care if you're on the right or the left. You ever call for anybody's death or the violence on them, then you're wrong. Number two, to your point about Silicon Valley, Katie, we hired a guy when I was at the RNC, and this is his comment, not mine. So I don't want to. He said, it's easier to come out. This is context-wise, probably 12, 14 years ago. He said when we hired him, he goes, "Do you realize it's easier to come out as gay than a conservative in Silicon Valley?" And that was
absolutely.
and I know that back then it probably meant more, especially on the conservative side, because it was still a little bit of an issue. The last thing I'll just say is I had a conversation with a couple of people yesterday after the show, and they were talking about my example of going to a conservative campus versus a non-campus. And we were talking about it afterwards. Think about quote unquote conservative campuses, Liberty University, Hillsdale University. They're probably the safest, kindest campuses that you could ever go to. And I thought about it, and it was a really interesting point. You go to any campus as a conservative, public university, private university, you have to fear for your safety. You could go to the most conservative campus on America, BYU, and I guarantee you, they may not like you, they may not appreciate your views, but I think you're going to feel pretty safe, and that is a big difference.
Yeah. Katie, thank you. Very grateful to you. Thank you. Tracy, welcome, and tell folks where you are, what's on your mind for Sean and Dan.
Hi, everybody. I'm from Arizona, Charlie's hometown. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Long time, first time.
Grateful to you for being on. Don't be
doing
nervous.
Great, and it's early.
with the possible exception of Dan, you're amongst friends.
I just want to say that I have kids that are Charlie's age, that have little kids, and I'm just, it's really discouraging. It's so horrible. But I think I really agree with Sean. It is not the same. I think the left, the far left or whatever, thinks that the difference between the right and the left is the right thinks any speech is okay, but the left thinks that speech is violence, and they think violence is activism. And I heard some lady the other day after the train thing say that or I think it was the Black Lives Matter lady that said that like Black people have a right to violence. And we got to do something. But I just want to encourage people on the right, we have to have courage in this moment. Charlie was a courageous soul. He had so much courage and dignity, and he treated everybody with grace. And I don't know where we go from here, but it's just, it's not the same. I don't think it's the same. And to equate things, I even think of January 6th, which was not a good day. But if people on the right really wanted to commit violence, that they wouldn't have done it that way. People on the right have, I'm just saying that if they wanted to do something, people on the right have guns, they have all these things but I just think it's not the same. So I just wanted to chime in. I'm sorry, I'm not being super articulate about.
Great, Tracy, thank you. Thank you for that. Really great. Real quick, because I forgot to share, I need to share at least some of my reporting. There is this network of liberal groups. The president mentioned Soros, but there's others that have raised extraordinary amounts of money. And the theory of the case now is that if you subpoena everything on the spending side, not just the fundraising side, you're going to learn about a network of funding programs that, in the theory of some people in the administration, has led to violence against.
That's what I also wanted to say, that the people on the left are the radicals, right? You have radicals on the right and radicals on the left, but the people on the radical left are funded and organized, and it's a whole different ballgame.
There are people in the White House who agree with you, and you're going to see, based on what's happened, this is on the to-do list, but it's going to move up. It's a very high priority, and again, the president referenced this morning. You're going to see a lot of lawyers being hired by a lot of very liberal groups because they're going to be fighting a lot of subpoenas to try to figure out where this money has been spent and the connection, if any, between people on the left and violence on the streets of the United States. Dan.
I love politics. I've been in politics for, as a profession for 20 years and now for a year commenting on it. I was a fundraiser, both on the official side, meaning campaigns, committees, and on the outside with third parties. I've got a lot of friends in politics on both sides of the aisle. I'm pretty well aware of how groups are organized on both the right and the left, the way money moves officially and unofficially. I mean, obviously they should do what they think is best for the country. I think you open the door to this, and if anyone thinks that the right is not highly organized on the outside money with groups that do, good work and shady work, I'll just keep to my mantra. Both sides play this game.
Yeah, only one side currently has a Justice Department.
Correct.
Sean.
That's it. That's it.
I would just say, and remember, I'm not trying to do two wrongs equals a right. So just, but I will say, that we had the IRS come after conservative groups. We've had this happen before.
Absolutely.
Number two, I will say this: if you ever, I will give credit to the left for what George Soros and the Arabella Network. I mean, it is one of the most fascinating networks of funding that I've ever seen in my life. And if you ever go look at the when I was on active duty, we did a lot of what we call link charts where we kind of look at the source. I mean, like how these guys fund the smallest organizations, et cetera. I mean, it is epic, right?
Get ready to learn a lot more about them.
And I will say that on our side, we do not have, I am honest to God, like we have great groups. I think we have, each side learns from each other. And
that's what I was going to say.
Okay. One of the things that I think is the untold story about, like when we were at the RNC in 10 to 16 or whatever, we studied a lot of what OFA had done, how Organizing for America, what they done, and said, hey, can we take what they did for a candidate and do it for a party? Arabella Networks and the Soros Network is something to be studied, admired, and replicated on the right. I will give them a ton of credit for how they've done this. When we talk about Soros prosecutors, it's not like Soros just walks out and hands them money. The network by which they create this stuff down to the smallest levels of government is, from a political standpoint, to be admired, studied, replicated, because it is unbelievable what they've done. And I will say, and then the difference between your side and ours is that we have a lot of guys who have these purity tests, which say, we're with you if you agree to this, this, and this. Where the Soros team, again, pure admiration, is they don't care. They're like, if you buy into the lefty thing, we got you. And I think that's how they do. They like I said.
Hold on. Okay. David King.
Hey, guys. Calling in from Louisville, or zooming in from Louisville. Dan, first of all, I want to tell you, I watch every day pretty much. Dan, it hurts my heart to see the look on your face the last couple of days, as I know you're struggling for words and fairness. And just so you know, they got to go through this fat Republican disabled lawyer if they're going to get to you.
Thank you.
It hurts my heart, and it hurts, I think, probably a lot of others. I just want to say that. However, that was the buildup. Yeah. First of all, Sean, the IRS didn't go after conservatives. I'm assured of that by the New York Times and the Washington Post. It didn't happen, and the Obama administration looked into it, and it didn't happen.
Thank you. Appreciate that clarification.
It's no problem. But honestly, I think part of the anger that you're seeing so very, very clearly is that it's relentless. From, you can't watch late night television, not even on a Saturday. You can't watch, if you want to hear a musical artist, unless I'm going to Kenny Chesney Fest, which, no offense to Kenny Chesney, but I love Bruce Springsteen. I don't see Bruce Springsteen standing up today and saying, we're not like this. Now, I heard him from Birmingham, England, criticize Donald Trump. And that's not a brave thing to do. criticizing Donald Trump from the left is the safest thing that can be done in this country. Stephen Colbert's done it every night for a decade. And I'm glad to see his show ending. It's a monolith. It's the monolith of media, academia, entertainment, the arts. There's no conservative outlets for this. And then they begin to grow, and then the effort is to shut them down. And Dan, I think that that's part of the anger that you're seeing is when you see what we saw this week and you see that wound, that horrific wound, we're tired. The acts of violence, January 6th is reprehensible. Republicans are shameful for not stepping up better on that. And the whole steal of the election thing, I don't believe it. I can't believe others do. But it's not this. The only person that died that day was a Republican person. I mean, it's not the same.
David, what about the Minnesota legislators who were killed? Is that the same?
It's terrible. I don't
But can
know.
you see how people on the left would say they killed some legislators in Minnesota?
And why he killed them?
The guy said that Tim Walz told him they should talk to Tim Walz after he was dead because he told him to kill Amy Klobuchar because Tim Walz wanted to beat her in a Senate race.
I made a mistake. I don't want to say they're the same because I think that's a trick to say things are the same. But do you see why
of course.
But do you see why people on the left don't think it's right to say there's no examples of political violence on the right? Do you see why people on the left feel that way?
Absolutely, there are. I will tell you, Mark, I want you to think back to the day in Palm Springs recently where we had a car bomb go off in front of what was told to us to be a Planned Parenthood, to be an abortion rights. What was the story there? That wasn't the story. The story was that was a prenatalist, somebody who thinks we had the right not to be born. Every time, Gabby Giffords was not shot for a political reason. Gabby Giffords got in the way of a bullet.
If you want to go down that path, we don't know why Charlie was shot.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
Transgender and Antifa sprawling.
We don't know that's true. That's been knocked down. We don't.
I'm sorry, I have not seen that was taken down.
All right, David.
You're right.
David, thank you. You speak for tens of millions, and I'm very grateful for the way you phrased it, and thank you for being part of two-way.
And David, I will say this, and I've said this publicly. The Democratic Party most Democrats calling Donald Trump Hitler and authoritarian, it was wrong. I've said it the whole time. It was bad. It was a bad political strategy, and it was wrong. And do I think that some crazy could hear that as a clarion call that I have to step forward and kill Trump or kill Charlie Kirk or leaders of the movement? I absolutely think it's one of the, it's crazy. And I think there are enough crazy people in this country when they hear people say that somebody is this threat to your way of life, that somebody will hear that and think, gosh, I got to go do something. It scares. It's why politicians are terrified.
Miriam, can you unmute Miriam? There you go. Welcome in. Tell folks where you are and what's on your mind for Sean and Dan, please.
Oh, yeah. I think you were unmuted and now you're remuted.
One more time. There you go.
There you go. You got it.
Hi. Thank you. I just appreciate the opportunity to speak just in light of, sorry.
That's okay. Take your time.
That Charlie was killed for speaking. So it's really, that's really been, I was shaken to my core that day. In a way that I wasn't even when Trump was shot at, because that a lot of people can say, I can understand that. Like, people would say to themselves, I'm not surprised. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was very, very almost expected because of the colossal cloud surrounding him. But with Charlie, this one hits a lot different because he was he would take everyone, come and tell me what you think, try to change my mind, and he had an openness and a willingness to change his mind if you could. That's a very Christian thing to be. And anyway, so saying all that, Mark, I appreciate your approach, because your approach is peace, love, and understanding. That's a very Christian philosophy, and I appreciate it. I have a criticism, though. My criticism is that we were not given a day by this platform to even grieve the death of Charlie without being asked to consider your list of why the left would be upset. We were asked, once again, pull yourselves back and you need to remember the other side. When we haven't even been told that we see your side, not in any, and I'm just repeating what people say, not in any medium, not in any cultural, their industries are not with us in any way. And like the previous man just said, we build something up and they kill it.
Miriam, thank you. I'll say respectfully, you're mischaracterizing what was said on this platform, including by me. I have said from the minute Charlie was shot, literally from the minute, I've said, right now, there's going to be a lot of anger on the right. The highest responsibility is for people on the left to understand why people are so upset. I've said that from the beginning. But
No.
if that's all that happens, if all that happens is the left listens to Sean and Katie and you and others and says, oh, now we understand why Charlie was so important and what he represented. That's all that happens. The country will not heal. The country will not heal because right now there's a lot of upset on the left as well.
I'm acknowledging that he was your friend, and you feel this very personally to yourself, and you admired him. I'm just saying that in my mind, my reaction to when people would bring this up, and then it would be the both sides. You've just solidified the divide.
No.
It was not inviting people in to consider something else. It wasn't allowing people to grieve.
Miriam, you grieve on your own time all you wish. I'm not interfering with your grieving. If you think the solution to this problem is to simply say the right is going to destroy the left, given the opportunity, because Charlie was killed, that will not heal the country. I'm not interested.
No, so now you're mischaracterizing what I'm saying, though.
Well, but you're saying you want 24 hours to not be told that the left has grievances too. Is that what you're asking for?
No, what I'm asking for is that because when you're saying, okay, you're in the midst of this, people watched their Kennedy go the day before, and then you come on this platform, and then somebody says we need to ratchet this down and pull back and do all of these things, and we haven't even said anything. Nobody has even said anything other than, my God.
No, people had said quite a bit. People had said quite
many things, including the president.
People had said quite a bit, including the president. And I'm just telling you, the cycle of recrimination. I hear it. I hear every day from people in the administration, even when I say, well, wow, that's a lot. I don't care about norm violations. That's a lot under the law. They say, let me tell you what you covered up for Joe Biden's acuity decline. That's not the way this country will heal or thrive. If all the new administration does, regardless of party, is say, we can do whatever the fuck we want, because look at what the last guys did.
That's not even what anybody that I know is saying. That's literally not.
Okay, what you seem to be saying is that you weren't allowed to grieve because early on we raised the notion that the right has responsibilities too. That seems to be what you're saying.
To me, it was not an invitation for understanding. It wasn't. It just wasn't. It was, to me, I got a visceral reaction, because what I'm trying to say is that we see the left's grievances every single day. We see them in the media. We see them in Hollywood. We see them in academia.
Do you have Fox?
We do have an understanding.
Do you have Fox News?
We do have an understanding.
Do you have Fox News and Newsmax?
No, I do not.
You don't. All right. Dan's going to get you. Dan's going to get you a subscription.
Look, Miriam, I hear you. I think Mark, in my opinion, you may disagree, set the tone early on yesterday and even the day before, for those who came on with the special at 4:00, of people on the left don't understand why this is such a big deal to people on the right. And he really kept saying, yeah. And I think Sean has done a great job speaking for you and for tens of millions about why Charlie is so special, right? So I think this platform, Mark setting the tone, Sean for speaking both from his own experience on the Trump team and as a commentator in the movement, to why this is such a big deal. And so I think that voice.
I did acknowledge that. I don't know if you remember. I did acknowledge all of that in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
expressed,
Okay.
see, like
Okay.
I'm just expressing to you, Mark, how people would react to your approach to the situation. And I don't necessarily have an answer for that, but my reaction was visceral, and I can
Okay.
only tell you what I reacted like.
Okay, Miriam, I thank you, and I'm going to apologize to you for my overreaction. But the reason I'm so emotional about this, or one reason I'm so emotional about it, is you will not find someone who's worked in legacy media who has been more understanding about what the point of view you're projecting than anyone.
Mark.
You will not find anyone more than me, maybe as
No,
much as me.
I
I get very
appreciate
frustrated.
what you
I get
did.
very frustrated when you know we're doing our best here, and if you compare it to anything else that you would criticize in the media, we're head and shoulders above them, all of us.
You are. And I'm just, but this
That's
is,
why I'm
like you said,
frustrated.
this is a very emotional thing for a
Yeah,
lot of us because it's been the decades leading up.
yeah,
And to be like, just to be told once again to pull yourself back and don't, like that's what it felt like. It doesn't mean that
yeah.
that's what you did, but that's what it felt like.
I stand by that, and I stand by the fact that that's what Charlie would have wanted. Thank you, Miriam. Very grateful to you. And again, I apologize for my failure to speak precisely, and I should have characterized what you said. Kendall, welcome in. Thank you for joining. Tell folks where you are, what's on your mind.
I'm in Minnesota, so some of this stuff really hits close to home from the school shootings, the legislators, and everything. And I started listening probably about a year ago. So thankful for this platform. I'm a financial advisor, so I also appreciate whenever you have David Bonson on. He's so wise, and I use a lot of his stuff now in client meetings. But what I wanted to bring up, and it's just been gnawing at me since the Charlie was shot. And to be honest, I'm 47, so I don't connect with Charlie Kirk quite as much as probably younger people, but I know a lot of young men that definitely do. And but I'm also a pretty old dad. I'm 47, and I have an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 10-week-old.
Congratulations.
And thank you. I'm a very blessed guy, all through adoption. So we're incredibly blessed.
Oh, that's good for you.
The point I wanted to make is when we talk about situations like this, the failure from my perspective is when the legislators were shot in Minnesota, the correct response from the right is, I am so sorry this happened. End of story. Not, oh, and by the way, we also need to have some empathy thrown our way because we also get hurt. And so I kind of think about, like, I end up as a financial advisor doing a lot of marriage counseling. And because money causes all sorts of issues, right? And so what I have found, and I think this is the core of the issue right now, and I think why Dan's getting a lot of arrows kind of thrown his way, is when I meet with a couple, it doesn't matter if it's 50-50, 95-5. If one side doesn't take full responsibility for their side and stop pointing at the other side, that couple doesn't have a chance. And so I think that it needs to be situational awareness. So, like, it's just not helpful, Dan. And I love you. And I have told so many people, this is like, you're my favorite Democrat. I know you hear that all the time. I truly mean it. But like pointing out the whataboutisms when the legislators were shot here in my state, the correct response is to the left, I am so sorry it happened. Not also look out for my feelings as well. It's got to be situational. And I think that's the core of the issue, Dan, that why you're still getting arrows is it needs to just take each side. I think, Mark, what I appreciate about you is you're trying, but I think the point is trying by telling the hurt party at the time they're hurt that they have to really consider the other side isn't the point. The point is actually the opposite side needs to just say, I love you, I support you. It was wrong. If it was our side, it was wrong. And that kind of needs to be the end of it. Instead of that, but also let me point out how I also feel it's situational. It's not global, it's not universal, it's situational. And so that's where I think why Dan probably feels like he's getting a lot of arrows is that like the right has bad people, the left has bad people. But I don't think when someone, the previous commentator when she, was talking about her feelings and everything. I think that's what she's talking about. It's not that I need time to mourn. It's like we're spending half the time talking about the other side of their feelings.
Yeah, understood word time. Here's what I would say to that, and see if I can say this correctly. It would be great to not have to ask the other side at a time of their pain to express understanding. The problem is you've added several times, almost as an aside or a throwaway line, of course there's problems on both sides. If the premise was there are problems on both sides, we don't even need to say it, there wouldn't be the need for the most recently aggrieved side to acknowledge it. But they don't. They operate as if there's nothing in the world that they've done that harmful to the other side. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, but that's not what Sean is saying or Dan is saying. So I'm just trying to say situationally.
I think they both. I'll speak for them because we're at time. I think they both believe that. The problem is that the loudest and angriest voices on both sides act like it's not true, and they resent being told anything they've ever done as anything that's at least bit comparable to what the other side has just done. We got to stop. We got to stop. I'm very grateful to you. Thank you for being part of 2
I'll come back sometime.
Okay, thank you, guys. Sir. Grateful to you. Sean and Dan, quick closing comments because we're over.
Yeah, I just say, first of all, Kendall, I love the analogy. I was thinking of this the other day because it's how we talk to each other. I was listening to some of the Dems yesterday say if they believe that they should support gun control, and I'm like, oh God, like you guys can't. I mean, to me, that you hit the nail on the head. And I wish we had more time. And I was thinking, as we're going through these examples, the Family Research Council shooting, the NRA being attacked, pro-life groups being attacked, like this is the manifestation of a lot of stuff for us on the right. And that's what people have to understand is that we have seen our side get attacked over and over and over again. And this is why a lot of it matters.
Yep. Thank you, Sean. Dan, real brief, if you could.
Yeah, just thank you, Mark. Thank you, Sean. Thank you to all the community. This has been, a tragic and shocking event, and listening to everybody. I do hear all of you, even when I don't agree with you, but it's been cathartic and helpful to hear your pain and hear your feelings.
Two-way later today, 2 p.m. Eastern time, the great random offense with our friend Ethan Strauss, his guest Ryan Glasspiegel, Front Office Sports, 2 p.m. And I'll be back, final show of the week, 6 p.m. tonight, two-way tonight. Please join me then. All the day's news, including the developments in the press conference, which was supposed to start an hour ago, but still has not begun. No surprise. Sean, what do you have this evening?
I'm going to break down. Seth Keshel does a lot of election analysis. He's based in Arizona. His wife's an Arizona state rep. So we're going to talk about honor Charlie's legacy, how it's going over in Arizona. And then obviously Charlie was really important in mobilizing people. We're going to talk about where the elections stand and what does this mean going forward. So Seth Keshel tonight, voter registration numbers, et cetera, trends, 6 p.m.
Extraordinary week on this program and on this platform. Grateful to Sean and Dan and grateful to all of you for being part of this community. It hasn't been perfect and it never will be, but we feel proud to be part of the community with you, to have conversations like no other at a very hard time for the country. And we'll be back at it Monday at 9 a.m. and we will see you then. And we're grateful to you for being consistently with us, even when you think we're knuckleheads. Have a good day, a good weekend, and we'll see you Monday.